morning, everyone. My name is Isabel Pivnicki, but I like to be called Izzy. I have been a trainee with YeshiKen and Girl Again since my mother, Margie Mathis, started the program in 2013. I now have a job working at Sephora in the White Plains, Westchester Mall. I work early in the morning unpacking shipments and minis and more and makeup accessories. Putting them on the shelves. I love my job. I just wish I could work more hours there. I have a really good job coach from Westchester Arc. I don't have work this morning, so I'm now eating my delicious granola from Love Michael and using my YeshiKen mug. And I have my YeshiKen notebook to jot down ideas, and while watching this event this morning. Did you get your package from us yet? If not, you can still order it from our website at YeshiKenInc.org/breakfast. Our program will be starting in just a minute. I know you will all enjoy it.
Welcome to our 5th Advocates for Adults with Autism Awards event. I'm so happy you're joining us today. We are here to honor 4 outstanding individuals who've had a significant impact on the lives of adolescents and adults with autism spectrum disorders and on our community and society at large. Sandi Rosenbaum has been a special education advocate for 25 years, inspired by her son Max. Baneesha Mukherjee, a recent graduate from YeshiKen, is now pursuing her career in writing. Caren Zucker, award-winning broadcast producer, mother of a son with autism, and co-author of the book In a Different Key, and film producer of a documentary based on the book. And John Donvan, an award-winning journalist, news correspondent, and public radio program moderator, and collaborated with Caren on the book and the film In a Different Key. You'll be hearing from each of our honorees in the program, and you can read more about them in our digital program journal, which can be found on our website. I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors. The contributions of our sponsors have enabled us to offer this virtual program to you complimentary and will make a significant impact on our program. I want to thank our sponsors for their very generous support. Clarefeld Wealth Management, Jesse and Joan Kupferberg Family Foundation, Foundation for Empowering Citizens with Autism, Littman Crooks, Autism Science Foundation, Sandi and Dan Rosenbaum, Sherry and Paul Gordon, Patricia and Andrew Salner, Carlton and Lawrence Mowell, Felicity House, Dr. Alice Jo Siegel, Marina Beck, the Westchester Bank. I would also like to thank all of you who've made a donation when you registered for this event. Every contribution counts towards helping young women with autism achieve their potential. We're also here to learn how YeshiKen helps young women with autism and learning disabilities develop skills for employment and greater independence. And we hope that will encourage you to join with others to support our mission. We could not have the impact we do without our dedicated board of directors. I'd like to introduce you to them: Pat Salner, Jessica Markowitz, Deborah Solomon, Amy Graziano, and our newest member, Sherry Gordon. Thank you so much for your support and sound advice. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Andrea StewartCousins, our New York State Senator representing over half of Westchester County. In 2019, she shattered the glass ceiling when she was elected Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, the first woman ever to serve in that role. Welcome, Senator StewartCousins.
Hi, this is State Senate Majority Leader Andrea StewartCousins. I'm delighted to join YeshiKen for its Advocates for Adults with Autism Awards program. This year's honorees are an amazing group. We have a pair of advocacy journalists whose book and subsequent documentary trace the evolution of public perceptions about autism from the first diagnosis in 1943 to the present, Caren Zucker and John Donvan. A tireless Westchester County special education and special needs advocate who's taken on many different roles over the years to aid those with disabilities and their families, Sandi Rosenbaum. And a YeshiKen success story who recently graduated from Manhattanville College and is a role model and peer mentor for other young autistic women looking to become productive members of our workforce. Congratulations to you all. Today, it's estimated that 80% of adults with autism spectrum disorders are unemployed, regardless of their academic accomplishments. But they're not unemployed because they can't technically or physically do the work. They have challenges which have conventional businesses kind of baffled. They think that maybe they might not be equipped to deal with autistic employees. That's why YeshiKen's mission is so unique. In a business incubator setting, they're helping these teen girls and young women develop job skills and confidence they need to join the competitive workforce and achieve greater independence. After these young women are placed with employers, YeshiKen works to support both the employer and employee, giving them the skills to navigate the very real social challenges of autistic employees. These are women who refuse to watch the world pass them by. They can work, they want to work. YeshiKen is a one-of-a-kind organization that empowers these young women. I've long been a champion in supporting people with disabilities. I created a new standing committee on disabilities just this year. It has oversight of the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, the Justice Center, and laws providing service and assistance for people with disabilities. Most importantly, it can create and promote policies to enhance the quality of life for people with disabilities. For example, the Senate and Assembly have also passed 2 pieces of legislation to establish a new ombudsman office and a new advocacy office. Both are designed to assist those with disabilities to see that they receive proper care and that their rights are being upheld. The Ombudsman program will assist those with intellectual and developmental disabilities in ensuring them access to appropriate coverage from managed care organizations, while the Office of the Advocate for People with Disabilities will assure that persons with disabilities are afforded the opportunity to exercise all of their rights and responsibilities. It's my hope that Governor Hochul signs these bills soon. Once again, congratulations to this year's Advocates for Adults with Autism Awards honorees, and thank you to YeshiKen's Executive Director, Marjorie Mathis, for her vision and dedication in guiding so many deserving young women to become productive members of our workforce. Enjoy the rest of this morning's program.
Thank you very much, Senator, for your welcome and remarks. Why do we focus our attention specifically on adults with autism today? While clinical experts consider autism a lifelong disability, many people think of autism as a childhood disorder. And that perception is understandable because only recently has the media and the entertainment industry featured adolescents and adults with autism. Current TV shows like The Good Doctor and Atypical have actors playing the lead character who is on the spectrum. But the Netflix series Love on the Spectrum has actually autistic young adults featured. These shows do present the challenges that many people on the spectrum face navigating the neurotypical world. Yet it is still rare to see people with severe autism presented in any form of media. However, even the most intellectually and academically gifted struggle with being included in society, especially in relationships and employment. And an autistic self-advocate posted on Facebook her definition of mild autism. Mild autism is how you, the neurotypical person, experiences the autistic person's symptoms, mildly. When I first imagined YeshiKen's program, I described it as an incubator, that we would nurture our participants who we thought of as having mild to moderate autism for a brief period of time, maybe a year, and then we would help them fledge. All they needed was intentional training and more intensive supports delivered by specialists who knew how to customize teaching methods for people on the spectrum. But after nearly 8 years of leading the organization, I realized that my projection of 12 months was pretty unrealistic. A very generous friend asked me recently if I had known how challenging it would be to accomplish our goals, would I do it again? Would I have created YeshiKen, our unique model of training? I gave that some thought. Why aren't there more programs like ours? Did others know that the odds of success could be low? That it would take a lot of time and energy and dedication? Of course, we do know that only 20% of adults with autism are employed. So if we were able to help 30% of our participants become employed, would that be considered success? And over what timeline? New York State government has determined that students with disabilities, people who have developmental delays, should only have 2 years of transition support services after graduation. 2 calendar years should just do it. Let's consider why building skills and preparing for employment takes more time for those on the spectrum. The rules in school are well articulated, and students have 12 to 15 years to learn them and perfect them. There are lots of supports and paid people to reinforce the education. But the rules and expectations at school are not applicable to the work environment. How so? In a job, you don't work for an A. You don't focus on your own priorities. There's no teaching assistant. You need to seek support from your colleagues. But you're not certain who are your allies and who are your competitors. You're not always sure when your work is done. You get no feedback unless you screw up. You need to constantly prove your value to the business and to your manager. And then there is the hidden curriculum. Those are the unwritten rules of behavior in the workplace that neurotypical people just get, but autistics don't. It's like a foreign language. While in our program we work on learning tasks like data entry, online research, sales transactions, customer support, we're also coaching on all of those nuances that happen in the workplace. Flexibility and understanding business priorities are 2 challenges our trainees face. For example, if we only have 5 of the original 7 pieces of an American Girl doll outfit, we will adjust the price and sell it anyway. It's not perfect, but we can still make money. If we don't have the hardcover book about Samantha, one of the characters, we should offer the customer the paperback version rather than let her leave empty-handed. And it's okay to get help from your work colleagues. If your boss doesn't say anything, assume you're doing a good job. We teach accepting uncertainty, and we coach trainees to manage anxiety. And as Izzy says, learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you're uncertain or confused about what's expected, you become anxious and insecure. You lose your self-esteem and withdraw. Those are dreadful feelings. For most of our young women, it takes 2 years or more to learn to internalize these lessons. And these lessons are not just for work, they're for life. So while it's taken longer than I originally planned for our participants to become employed, the benefits to their lives are greater than I imagined. What we offer our participants is the gift of time. But time costs money. So my answer to my friend is, and to all of you, I would do this again, and I would encourage others to follow our model. Now let's hear from some of our trainees. This conversation was recorded at Girl Again Boutique in June, when we came together for training at Girl Again after 15 months of participating in the program virtually.
I hate being inside my house. Just cooped up, nothing to do. It was agony for me. It did make my depression a little harder and anxiety a little bit harder, and I'm still reeling from it.
Like before the coaching session, I'll go to sleep, and then after I'll have my breakfast, and then after the coaching session, then after I'll go back to sleep again. And my mom would say it was eat, sleep, TV.
I think like I got more skills with using LinkedIn and how to set up how to present yourself during a Zoom meeting.
Doing the online store, I would take the pictures and I would edit them and post them, and that's something I really liked doing and I learned new skills in that. And then I also liked when we did the MasterCard interviews, because I learned a lot from that. The first person I was matched up with worked in graphic design, and she gave me a lot of good feedback about what it's like to work and just like not be afraid of or taking the time to think out your response before speaking, which is what I'm struggling with right now.
You can't tell you how happy I am to finally be back here, to have somewhere to go during the day. I'm the kind of person who needs somewhere to go during the day, something to do, a reason to get up in the morning.
Now that we're back in person, are there things that you would like to be learning? We talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, I would like to learn how to use that AT&T phone over there and listen to customers calling.
I'd like to practice more phone skills and like interacting with customers.
Getting comfortable working with customers, researching an item, and like Vicky said, problem solving and figuring out, the pricing.
Learning how to work with different colleagues and staff and how to see different customers, and I'm also scared of customers that are in a rush.
If they're in a rush, they're probably looking for something specific. And I just say, this girl who you're buying, girl or boy you're buying for, what are their interests and hobbies, and I'll make suggestions based on the interest that they tell me.
My mom wanted me to join because it's an all-female thing and it's within people my age group.
Yeah, having girls your own age and on the autism spectrum is important. Most people who have autism are boys, and it's sometimes it's hard to find programs with girls on the spectrum because mostly boys are affected, and sometimes that can make you feel a little left out.
I do remember being very hesitant and almost refusing to my mom to join, and then she convinced me and I joined, and now I love it.
Being on the autism spectrum, I wanted to show that American Girl is not just I don't want to sound like racist or anything, but not just a white thing.
Mm-hmm. You mean autism is not just a white thing?
Yeah, autism is not just a white thing. I feel like as if I'm like the first non-white person who joined YeshiKen. I'm wrong. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I guess it depends upon your definition. We're loving having diversity.
Yeah.
And
Diversity.
Let me say this. You're the first Jamaican, Indian, American.
Just because you have autism doesn't stop you from fulfilling your dreams.
That's an important message.
Yeah.
Vicky, Colleen, Vanessa, and Claire are just a few of the young women who have had life-changing experiences from their participation in YeshiKen. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Amy Gravino, and I am an international speaker, autism sexuality advocate, and relationship coach in the Center for Adult Autism Services at Rutgers University. I was also honored at the YeshiKen Awards as an autism advocate in 2017. I now serve on the board of YeshiKen because I believe in our mission and how YeshiKen can make a positive difference in the lives of autistic women. When I was in college, and even after I graduated, there were no programs like YeshiKen. Navigating the world of employment on my own was challenging, and perhaps some of the heartache and disappointment I experienced could have been lessened if I had access to a program like YeshiKen. In these especially difficult times, young women with autism need our program more than ever. As you heard from the young women around the work table, YeshiKen provides an essential support system for our participants. You can do your part to help sustain our program by making a financial contribution today. Every donation has a meaningful impact, and no contribution is too small or too large. Here's how you can contribute this morning. It's easy. On the right side of your screen, you will see our donation form provided through Network for Good. Just enter the amount of your tax-deductible pledge and your contact information on our secure form. So go ahead, give generously, and make a difference in the lives of autistic women today. A special thank you to our sponsors who have enabled us to offer this event to all of our attendees.
Hi, my name is Bernie Crooks, and I'm a lawyer at the law firm Littman Crooks. Our firm has had the distinct privilege of representing individuals with special needs and their families for more than 30 years. During my professional career and personal life, I have had the opportunity to meet thousands of people who have contributed to improving the lives of individuals with special needs in many different forms, including employment opportunities, education, inclusion in the community, housing and residential care, leisure options and advocacy, among many others. To each and every one of you, I say thank you for all that you do to make the world a better place. Today, I am here to introduce you to someone who truly exemplifies what it means to be an advocate for someone with disabilities, Sandi Rosenbaum. I have known Sandi for more than 8 years now, and during that time, I have seen her help hundreds of families through her hard work, perseverance, knowledge, and dedication. In fact, I have had firsthand personal experience working with Sandi on behalf of my own son, Max. After turning 21, he was all of a sudden no longer in the system. We were lost, didn't know what to do. Where would he live? Where would he work? What kinds of New York State and federal benefits would he need? My wife and I got to see up close what it was like to work with Sandi Rosenbaum. Sandi helped us navigate the New York State and federal maze, including making sure Max had benefits from OPWDD, walking us through the analysis of whether self-direction made sense for us and Max, and ensuring that Max received the maximum amount of SSI benefits he was entitled to based on where he was going to live. We couldn't have done it without her. Sandi is dedicated and caring, and every case is personal for her. I constantly hear her communicating with clients as if she were talking about her own child. She is truly a remarkable person. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Sandi Rosenbaum, 2021 Advocates for Adults with Autism honoree.
Thank you to Marjorie and the YeshiKen board for this honor. It is a privilege to be recognized today together with Caren, John, and Baneesha. I met Marjorie back in the late 1990s when our kids were barely preschoolers, and for over 20 years we have traveled together on a journey shaped by autism. During their school years, my son Max, sometimes together with Isabel, benefited from some excellent programs. Max's uniqueness often made him not quite a fit for attractive programs that were not designed with his particular needs in mind. As a result, I learned about programming serving kids with a range of neurodevelopmental, cognitive, and learning needs, and developed a hard-earned empathy for other parents of kids who had such a hard time finding the right program and the right peers for their children. I began to use my knowledge and experience to assist other families. 8 years ago, I was fortunate to join the team at Littman Crooks, where we assist families of children and adults with a range of medical, developmental, cognitive, and mental health needs to obtain appropriate services, whether from school districts, state-funded disability supports, or sometimes private providers. But as I've learned, if you're unique, that uniqueness follows you into adulthood, and much more often than in the schools, in the adult world, appropriate programming may not exist at any price. Thus, I also began to devote my time to advocate for families with the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, OPWDD, through the Family Support Services Advisory Council.
My colleagues and I do the best we can to qualify people with autism and other disabilities for the services they need, and then to connect them with the best programs we can. But when the right programming doesn't exist, all I can offer is my empathy. Marjorie had the vision and imagination to develop what was needed. Women with autism are underserved because the overwhelming majority of those who are diagnosed with autism are male. YeshiKen is tailored to women, focused on an area of particular interest to Isabel, American Girl dolls, and it serves women with a wide range of needs. I've spoken about YeshiKen to a number of my friends with daughters, and one said, "My daughter isn't ready to work in a retail store." Well, she doesn't have to work in the retail store right away. She can sort donated inventory or log the inventory or look online for matching accessories to acquire so Girl Again can package the whole package for sale. Despite an emphasis in high schools on developing work readiness, it's really hard for most people with autism, including my son, to find an appropriate on-ramp to employability and the dignity of paid work. YeshiKen's program is small enough and flexible enough to serve young women with a variety of needs and get so many of them to be work ready. There has been a real dearth of quality programs for women with autism and programs for employment readiness for people with autism across the board. I wish there was something like YeshiKen for my son, Max. I am in awe of what Marjorie has accomplished as an entrepreneur in this critical and critically underserved arena, and I can't wait to see what the next 20 years bring for us and for the adults with autism whom we love.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm a trainee at YeshiKen.
I do remember coming in here and being so brutally honest with what some of our struggles were, but really these are her struggles. We weren't in a good place. She wasn't in a good place when we first began.
I struggle with talking in general. I get a lot of anxiety. For example, if someone, in this world would like to ask me where is something, or they need help, or calling someone up to ask if that we have something on the wish list. I've gained the courage to do transactions when people come into the store to buy items. I'm getting better with, emailing my supervisors when I need to. Another thing I learned here is how to deal with my anxiety attacks when they happen, and be able to work through some of the struggles that my autism presents.
It's about giving these girls the tools to coexist with others in a work environment. It's about answering to authority. Authority here might look like a job coach. One day down the line it's going to be a boss or a colleague or whatever.
I've also learned how to advocate for myself and for ideas in the store. Just getting my input out there. It started with small things from, we have a bunch of charms in these bins, why don't we sell them for, pretty cheap? And then being able to use what I'm interested in, which is in graphic design, to create signs for this store. Just now I worked on a flyer for a sale that we're going to have. It makes me feel good. It makes me realize that maybe this is something I can do. I could take this outside of Girl Again, and I can use this as a job.
You have to fight for your child. You have to fight to find something to give them their place in the world. This is to me, step 1 and 2, and maybe 3, into getting her in the world, getting her comfortable.
Being here at YeshiKen has helped me realize I'm capable of much more than I thought. In terms of job skills and communication and responsibility. Something else I gained in YeshiKen is a friend. I made a really good friend here in the program, and she's someone I could go to if I have any questions outside of work.
Back 3 years ago, I could have never seen us where we are now. It's come so far into home life, family life, interaction in stores, the confidence in making a phone call. it's opened up her eyes to being comfortable or more comfortable in the outside world.
I think I have more to learn at YeshiKen, but I mean, I know that I'm going to be able to apply for a job and get the job, keep the job, and do well because of what I've learned here.
Your contributions today will enable us to continue this innovative and meaningful work. Thank you to everyone who has already contributed. Your donations will help to sustain our program. On the right of your screen, you will see our donation form provided through Network for Good. Just enter the amount of your tax-deductible pledge and your contact information on our secure form. Thank you so much. A special thank you to everyone who purchased our breakfast package. If you did not get a chance to order one for this event, our YeshiKen breakfast package will be available for purchase on our website. John Donvan is an Emmy-awarded journalist, broadcaster, and correspondent for ABC, CNN, and PBS, and co-author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning book, In a Different Key, The Story of Autism. How do you tell the story of autism? How do you describe a painful past, a complicated present, and an uncertain future? Whose voices do you amplify? These are all questions that John and his co-author Caren Zucker, whom we are also honoring today, sought to answer as they endeavored to bring In a Different Key to the big screen. It was John who invited me to be interviewed for the movie, to tell my story alongside his and Caren's, and the story of Donald Triplett, the first person diagnosed with autism. It was a beautifully sunny day in 2019 when John and I filmed my interview. The house was impossibly gorgeous, with lush purple ceilings and opulently carved wooden doors, and a chandelier shimmering in the late morning light. John sat across from me and offered only the gentlest prodding, listening intently as I spoke. The interview took an emotional turn at one point, and as I dabbed my eyes with a tissue afterward, John had the warmest expression on his face, a look of gratitude. No one knows their way around a story like John does, whether it's the West Bank in Jerusalem or the bank on the corner that an autistic man visits at the same time every day, welcomed by those who know him. In that moment after our interview, there was one thing I knew in my heart. I can trust John with my story. The work that John has done, both as a correspondent and co-author of In a Different Key, has changed lives, and I am so proud and honored to be presenting him with this award today. It is my distinct pleasure to present the YeshiKen Advocates for Adults with Autism Award to my friend, John Donvan.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison Singer, president of the Autism Science Foundation, and it's my sincere joy to introduce one of this year's recipients of the Advocates for Adults with Autism Award, my dear friend, Caren Zucker. Caren is more like my sister than my friend. We both started our careers as television news producers, and then we each pivoted when we had a child diagnosed with autism. Caren turned her efforts first towards producing television pieces about autism, then co-writing the book In a Different Key, and then, of course, producing the documentary version of that book, for which we are honoring her today. Both the book and the film trace the social history of autism and describe the reality that we, as members of the autism community, all experienced, whether we ourselves have autism or are a parent or grandparent of a person with autism. In a Different Key is truly the best recounting of the history of autism, how the diagnosis has changed since the early 1950s, and how the lives of people with autism have changed for the better. Caren and John, you are both amazing advocates and superior award-winning journalists. All of us in the autism community are so grateful that you chose to direct your significant journalism talents towards improving the lives of people with autism. You have changed our community and our world for the better, and we are all so thankful to you. Congratulations on receiving this incredibly well-deserved honor.
Wow. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for honoring us with the Advocates for Adults with Autism Award from YeshiKen. We know all about YeshiKen, and it's such a great organization. It does such great work. So we're really delighted and honored that you are honoring our work. But I never speak for Caren. So Caren.
No, John should not speak for me. But on this one, I totally agree with him, which we're just so honored to be here today. And I especially want to thank Allison for that beautiful introduction.
I got to say the same for Amy Gravino's introduction of me. It touches me so much that working together meant so much for you. And Amy, you are one of the prominent voices in the autism world. So I am honored that you introduced me and that you had such nice words to say for me. So we thought we would talk about the work that we've been doing. And Caren, we've been really doing it a long time now, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been at it for almost 25 years. And it all began about when we were both at ABC News. I was a producer and John was on-air correspondent. And we had been working together as sort of general news producers. I was the producer and he was the person saying all the important things. And my son was diagnosed with autism in 1996. And that started this new journey for me. And fortunately or unfortunately for John, I asked his help along the way if he would do this with me and try to kind of educate and change the world for people with autism. And here we are today.
And that long years and years of work resulted first in our book In a Different Key back in 2016. And we were really honored when it was named as a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, which we also thought was a landmark for the autism community. Then we decided to turn it into a film, which is our latest work. And we thought to start things off, we would show you a little bit about that film and then talk about it. So here is a look at our trailer.
I've always known Don. I don't remember not knowing Don.
We knew that Don was a little different, but what it was, we didn't know.
He is the first person to be ever diagnosed with autism.
At the time, autism wasn't even a word.
I had heard that the first person diagnosed with autism might still be alive and living in this small town in Mississippi.
Good to see you.
Hey, Shelby Welby. Hey, Nat the cat.
Well, hi, Don, darling.
Hey, Chandler the plant.
Stop resisting. Get the cuffs. Hey, can I go, please?
I only knew that I was different and that different was bad. You're weird, you're a freak, you're a retard, you're a loser, you're ugly. These were the things that I heard on a daily basis.
Come on, go, go, go.
In my research study, every Black family that I've met with has asked a similar question. How do we keep our children safe? How do we fix this situation so that our children won't die?
Toasty? Yeah.
Like that.
Autism is a little different. Your brain works a lot differently than most people.
Hello. Hi, Caren. Hi. Hello.
Do you get any kind of support from anybody?
Not really, it's just me. Nobody's gonna do what I do.
So you just can't die?
Right, it's gotta be immortal.
Don's got some odd behaviors and some eccentricities, but he's our guy.
I was just so drawn to him and this community. I wanted to figure out, how did they get it right? Because they really did get it right.
The thing about Donald's life that so astounded us was the way his community embraced him. And, you know, I had never seen anything like it before. And even before we got down to Forest, I remember us contacting some family members and friends and saying, could we, you know, we had found Donald and we wanted to meet him. And they said, you know, well, we'll introduce you to Donald. But if you mess with him in any way, we will come and get you and track you down. And they weren't kidding. I mean, this was a community that had totally embraced Donald for who he was. And most of his life, they didn't even know he had autism.
Mm-hmm. So Donald really, really had an exceptionally blessed life. And one key part of that we want to talk about is his employment situation. So part of his blessed life is that he got to work. And let's show you a little bit of an excerpt from the film where we talk about that. And the voice you're going to hear is the voice of Caren Zucker.
Donald had a job. He had a job for life.
See you Monday, Gail.
That bank he visits every afternoon,
See you Monday, Jessica.
he worked there.
JP.
And it was like a second home to him.
All right, Jan Nestor. See you later. All right.
It's a place where a whole new generation of people got connected to him.
See you later, Big Debbie.
He was a teller in his early years, and then he worked in bookkeeping. He would stuff statements.
The fact is that Donald's family owned the bank, and that made a huge difference. It meant everyone was committed to his success, and whenever a new manager came in, a member of the family would ensure that.
Bill McCravey, who would have been Don's uncle. That would be Don's mother's brother. Early on, he kind of explained Don's situation, and he made the statement to me, Gene, I always will appreciate you if you'll have a place for Don. And, you know, always did.
He was given the opportunity to make mistakes and then try something else until there was the right fit. And in society, you don't get to do that. So Donald was afforded the chance to be successful, and he was successful. And that would be perfect for everyone on the spectrum. But there just aren't enough situations like that. At least not yet.
Wasn't that a really nice photograph at the end of Donald celebrating a holiday at work? And that's part of the point, is that he had a community at work in addition to a place to go every day, and a sense of accomplishment and achievement and an income. You know, we again want to make clear that his situation was really unique, because most people's families are not going to own the bank. Most people's families are not going to have that kind of control over an employment situation, and they shouldn't have to. And that's really a core part of the work that Caren and I have done reporting over the years on employment and people on the autism spectrum. Right, Caren?
Exactly. I mean, and one of the, you know, as I just said in that clip, Donald was allowed to make mistakes. And that's just not the case in employment today. And even those employers that are well-intentioned and want to get people with autism on board and in their workforce, they have to know that they have to go more than halfway, that the people on the autism spectrum have so much to offer, but they can't do it on their own. And just wanting to have them on your staff is not enough. You have to help them get there. And then when they get there, you'll see that you get more than you could have ever imagined.
But I think what you're really saying is that employers have a lot to learn. And
absolutely.
Employers might need some training and you know, some flexibility.
And it's not just wanting to do it. It is learning how to do it and learning how to work with people who are different.
So I want to also mention that employment is one aspect of the film we deal with in terms of of challenges for people on the spectrum. We look at through the stories of individual people who you haven't yet met. You know more about Donald, but other people in the film experience other aspects of the story, like bullying in school, in middle school. Actually, Amy Gravino takes part in the film in that part, and she talked about her experience, terrible experience being bullied. We talk about racism affecting diagnosis and why people of color, children of color, have a more difficult time getting diagnosed. We talk about bad interactions with law enforcement when the police don't understand what autism is all about, and some terrible mistakes can be made. And we talk about, you know, people who just don't have financial means, who are either on the spectrum or raising children on the spectrum, don't have a way to pay for the support that often requires being paid. So we look at all of those aspects on the film, and to get across the idea that this film is not just a story about autistic people or for the autistic community.
Not for the autistic community, actually. I mean, we produced this for, of course, for the autism community to share and to embrace as part of, you know, all of who we are. But we really created it for people outside of the autism community, for the people who don't know what kind of impact they can make on the lives of someone who's different. And so our goal has been to really reach people outside of the autism community, to get them to watch the film. And we're even finding in film festivals that we've been in that people who see it for the first time actually walk away changed. And so we want to get this everywhere. We want to get this to all those people who, whether they've never heard of autism, or if they've heard of it, but they think they understand it, but they've just met this guy, you know, that, you know, works at MIT, or somebody who they can have, you know, a great conversation with, but it's just a little socially awkward. You know, autism is much more complex than that. And we feel that the breadth of the film really takes you, you know, kind of up and down and in and out, from the first person ever diagnosed to, you know, as John was saying, you know, people who are, you know, underdiagnosed because of the color of their skin.
So about what we're going to do with the film, what our plan is, right now we're working on getting a nationwide broadcast. The details for that, when they're available, will be, you can find out on our website, In a Different Key, themovie.com, In a Different Key, themovie.com, as it says on the screen here. But in the meantime, we're showing the film in private settings to select stakeholders in the autism community, and we're asking them to spread the word and to build interest and excitement for the broadcast. So, Caren, to wrap up, you know, you always say that we've always had a mission, and this film, In a Different Key, the movie, definitely has a mission.
And it's to change the world and to let people know we can do better. All of us can do better. If we understand that people on the spectrum are different, and that that's okay. And that we outside of our community have a role in making better lives for people.
We all do have a role, and we hope that you see that and feel that when you have a chance to see the film, and that it's going to mean as much to you as it does to both of us, but also to both of us. Receiving this award and this honor is just spectacular. So I want
to also, before we sign off, you know, to just really thank Marjorie for creating this award and honoring, you know, other people for the work that they do in our community. It's very special to be to be on that list. So thank you.
And you thought I wasn't going to thank Marjorie?
No, I didn't say that.
Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you. Yes, she can. Thanks, really. We really appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Baneesha Mukherjee as a recipient of the 2021 YeshiKen Advocates for Adults with Autism Award as a self-advocate. Baneesha joined the YeshiKen training program in 2019 as a hesitant participant after her mom had suggested it might be a valuable program for her to consider. Baneesha had a knowledge of the American Girl product, mostly through the books she had read as a younger child, which continued to grab her attention as an adult. During a visit to the Girl Again store, and almost 2 years later when she started the YeshiKen training program, Baneesha accurately described her own propensity for distraction around books and requested we not assign her any book-related tasks for fear of losing herself in the American Girl stories. Early on, one of Baneesha's strengths, noted by the job skills coaches, was her openness to constructive feedback. Baneesha sometimes struggled to put into action the skills she was learning, but always came to the training sessions with a curiosity and willingness to try new things or new ways of thinking. Baneesha blossomed at YeshiKen. She mastered many of the merchandising and business skills taught. She worked hard on improving her ability to interact and present herself professionally. Baneesha worked with our job coaches to develop her resume and established a rich LinkedIn profile. Her openness and can-do attitude led to her using these job exploration skills and tools to successfully obtain internships and employment. Baneesha's successes led to further self-confidence. She advocated for herself to develop a PowerPoint presentation and facilitated a workshop on using LinkedIn and Indeed for her coworkers at YeshiKen. Always with an encouraging word, Baneesha has become a friend, a peer mentor, and an advocate for others, often consulted by other trainees with regard to their own job searches. All of us at YeshiKen acknowledge your hard work, Baneesha, and support. Without question, you are receiving the Advocates for Adults with Autism Award. Congratulations, well done.
I joined YeshiKen program because even though I was in a successful college, Manhattanville College, I had difficulty finding a job. The only volunteer experience that I ever had was the volunteer work I did at the Artsy Public Library. And to be honest, the Artsy Public Library wasn't much of an efficient volunteer experience because I would always get distracted by the books. And as a result, I didn't get much work done. I didn't get a lot of professional experience. I remember first joining the YeshiKen program, and I would always tell my job coaches, I'll easily get distracted by the books. But over time throughout the training sessions, I learned to just focus on the inventory work with the dolls and the outfits. When I first came into the store, I learned how direct feedback is important in learning your skills. You should not take direct feedback too personally because otherwise it'll be a hindrance. After the coaches found out I have a problem of repeating things, we worked on conversation skills like paying attention to nonverbal cues, being a good listener, making good eye contact. I first had that struggle of repeating thoughts because I wasn't sure if the other person is listening or has trouble remembering things. But after hearing from my coaches saying that they listen to you, they remember what you said, they heard you, the I go, you go helped me say if I say something, then the other person goes. And then it's like a tennis match. Following up on their conversation, asking them questions to follow them up. And I found it very helpful because it helped me practice more etiquette in the job workplace, especially when I started communicating, writing emails to them. They introduced me to the one thing that opened up the doors, the LinkedIn profiles. The LinkedIn profile not only helps me connect with the other trainees, but also with other people in the work areas as well. At some point in 2020, I discovered my first real internship with Down to Dash. And through this internship, I learned to not only connect with the people that I'm working with, but also other people as well, including some of my college classmates. The LinkedIn profile is what helps out open up the doors. One program that I've heard through LinkedIn is Respectability. I first applied for Respectability in the beginning of the summer, but even though I didn't get a spot, I still remembered, don't get discouraged. And so I kept through going on LinkedIn and I found they posted another ad, which is a special boot camp that I signed up for. And so I was given the chance to do an interview with them this week. To find a job, you have to learn about yourself. You have to learn about your interests. The second piece of advice, if you're stuck on something, don't be afraid to ask for help. And the third piece of advice is, when you're doing all these applications, again, don't be discouraged. You have to keep putting yourself out there. Keep practicing your writing and communication, because communication is the only way you can put yourself out there and pursue your goals. I believe that YeshiKen is a very good milestone in helping me prepare to get a good job. That's why I'm honored and happy to accept this award.
Once again, here's how to donate. On the right side of your screen, you will see our donation form provided through Network for Good. Just enter the amount of your tax-deductible pledge and your contact information on our secure form. Thank you for donating.
We are now at the end of our virtual event. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our honorees, Sandi Rosenbaum, Baneesha Mukherjee, Caren Zucker, and John Donvan. They are each an inspiration, and we're so fortunate to have them as advocates. Thank you also to Allison Singer, Amy Graziano, Bernie Crooks, and Leslie Catan for introducing our honorees. And thanks again to Sen Andrea StewartCousins for your remarks. I hope you learned about our program, both the challenges and the benefits, and how the gift of time can change a life, not just for one trainee, but of a family and a community for the better. I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors for generously supporting YeshiKen in this event. I'd also like to thank you all for attending today and for your generous donations you gave before and during the program. I can't thank you enough for your support. Every contribution counts. This past spring, we held a virtual workshop with employees from MasterCard to help our trainees practice informational interviewing skills. So, to borrow a phrase from MasterCard's campaign, there are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. The benefits to our trainees are priceless, but there is an expense for us to deliver those benefits. So if you didn't have a chance to do so yet, please pull out your MasterCard or your Visa or American Express and make a donation to YeshiKen so that we can continue to provide the gift of time to our young women. In case you missed it, Izzy mentioned you can still order our breakfast package at YeshiKenInc.org/breakfast. And please stay in touch with us through our e-newsletter, which you can subscribe to on our website at YeshiKenInc.org. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you in real life next year.